I'm sorry, but boomers ruined the economy.
I'm going to tell you, it started in the 1980s with trickle-down economics that
is dead. It's not coming back. The American dream.
I believe that they will never have a shot at owning a home, really.
Do you feel like this is the American dream that was promised to us?
I agree on the fact that the American dream, as it was sold to us, is dead.
Working hard, paying their bills, trying to plan their future. But somehow, American dream, it feels way further away every year. It doesn't matter how many hours you work or how many time you put in at work, you will still fall behind. And that's what millions of Americans are wondering about. Is the American dream achievable or is it just a nightmare? Let's check out this video.
I'm sorry, but boomers ruined the economy for us. Boomers will say, just work hard and you'll be able to buy a house. When they bought a house, it was $40,000. College was cheap, rent was cheap, groceries were even cheaper. Now rent is like $1,800 for a studio apartment, but somehow we're just magically supposed to save money. Like, genuinely, how are we supposed to get ahead in this economy? Back then, you could support a family on one income. You could buy a house working at Sears full time, but now that just seems so unattainable. Budgeting in America in 2026 is basically survival at this point. You literally have to have a budget. You literally have to know where every single dollar of your money is going. This year I started using the Mine app and forced myself to make a budget because I literally was having no money left over after rent and groceries and other bills, stressing me out so much. Do I have a ton left over now? No, but I at least know where it's going. If you're struggling in 2026, I promise you, you are not alone.
How did the American dream die? How did the middle class die? I'm going to tell you, it started in the 1980s with trickle-down economics that did not work. They decided to give tax cuts to the rich and corporations saying that money would trickle down. It didn't. It just made the rich richer. Then we greenlit stock buyback. So instead of when the productivity was going up, instead of giving workers more money, they just bought back their stocks so the shareholders could make profit and the executives could get bonuses. Then we had leverage buyouts and the government didn't regulate leverage buyouts. And that was the start of private equity basically buying up everything so that they could make more money. Then we moved away from pensions to 401ks, which essentially just took the responsibility and accountability of the company to take care of their workers with the retirement and put it on to individuals. But we were never taught economics in high school. So how the fuck are we supposed to know about compound interest and investing? But they said the 401k was better than the pension when it wasn't. Then they started shipping our jobs overseas, building the middle class of other countries so that they could make more profit, destroying the middle class here. Then we started ramping up the borrowing money and getting into debt as a country, which devalues our dollar. And then in 2008, we had predatory lending, which crashed the housing market, fucked over so many Americans. And then we used taxpayer money to bail out the banks. And when all the houses were cheap, the rich went and bought those up. And that's when you started to see the rent start to increase around the 2010s into the 2015s. And then in 2011, we allowed super PACs to exist. So billionaires can now buy elections and they use that money on attack ads, which divides the country. Divide and conquer, and that's what they did. In 2020, we had the pandemic, which both sides of the aisle handled like absolute shit, shut down all small businesses, all the money went to the top, the rich got richer, they printed trillions of dollars more, which people needed. But what did all the people do? We spent the money because we needed to spend the money. And where did that money go? To the top, and they got richer. And lastly, they decided during the pandemic, let's lower the interest rates on buying a home to 2.5% to 3% so that people could refinance and get ahead. But no, all that really did was give the green light to a bunch of rich people to basically borrow free money and buy up all the housing so that we can no longer own a home. And that all ended in 2021. Then we've experienced 25% inflation since the pandemic, and we no longer have a middle class, and the American dream is dead.
When are we going to realize that the American dream is no longer achievable? We can't make America great again if the American dream is an impossible feat. So if we're trying to make America great again, then we need to make America affordable, because right now, it's not.
For Hispanics, Latinos, and pretty much any first-generation college student, I want to ask you this question. Do you feel like this is the American dream that was promised to us? Us finally becoming adults now, as children or grandchildren from people who immigrated. This country does not feel as first world country as our ancestors once saw it. This country isn't the one that you can expect anybody right now graduating to find a career that's already a full hurdle with the job market. But then to work your ass off to just barely afford an overpriced home, just to come back to buying a shit ton of groceries that aren't even fresh, but that already takes a giant portion of your paycheck. And to know that your fucking innocent neighbors are getting questioned about being a legal immigrant. Like what is this? What are we doing here? Like, genuinely, we were taught that if we just worked just as hard as our ancestors did in their home countries, that there would be more opportunities here, and because we're the hardest workers, we would be the ones deserving of the best of the world. all for us to just find out growing up that it's just connections, generational wealth distributed among all the white motherfuckers, all the property, all shared among the white motherfuckers that could buy houses for a fucking penny, a chip, and a paperclip. And for us to just look at this and be like, oh, well, you're low income and you're a first gen, you just need to work harder and you'll succeed just as much as us. You'll have a basic livelihood just as good as us.
So we can all probably easily agree on the fact that the American dream as it was sold to us is dead. And the reason why I say that is my idea of the American dream is to be able to afford things on an average salary with one income in the household and be able to save money while you're paying for everything else to be able to retire at an age that's reasonable so you can enjoy the rest of your life without having to work 40 hours a week when you're over 60 years old. I think that's ridiculous. Now, what we're seeing is there's dual income houses, right? Most houses now have both spouses working, and the retirement age just keeps going up, and savings aren't going up. The amount of money that people are saving is not increasing. The amount that you have to spend to live has increased so much. In 1980, you could buy a house for $50,000. Now the average home price is over $400,000. And that is insane to me because the wages have not increased with the cost increase. So the American dream now is you work, your partner works, and you retire over the age of 70. Great. Great dream. Live the dream.
The American dream, as we've known it, is dead. It's not coming back. The American dream, for those of y'all who might not be familiar, was to, work hard, overcome your circumstances, become successful, get a good job, go to school, the whole shebang, right? Buy a house, get married, have babies, white picket fence with a dog, the whole shebang, and then just enjoy the fruits of your hard labor. That is dead. That is over. I'm not going to sit here and say it's impossible. It is exponentially harder now than the America I grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s. No, no, no. What a lot of millennials my age find ourselves fantasizing about now is making American money outside of America. The new American dream is to get the fuck out of here. Because this country is not the same one I grew up in, man. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I know this country has always had its problems. I know its foundations and roots are soaked in blood and that they really haven't done the requisite work to atone for that. But I could at least say when I was coming up in the 90s and early 2000s, and hell, even the 2010s to a certain extent, that we were trying. Genuinely, as a whole, we were trying. There were people trying to hold us back and take us back to the Stone Ages, but the general consensus is that we need to keep moving forward. And we were, until Donald Trump. Now, I'm not going to blame him exclusively for this because there is a whole machine behind him that is making this possible. But he was the catalyst. He was the linchpin that galvanized the worst of the worst in this country. And as a result of that, him and his minions have set us back decades, literal decades. And that is not an America I want to live in. I wake up every day fucking ashamed. Ashamed of this government, ashamed of this country, ashamed of what we have allowed to happen. And if I could be so bold, I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of it. I fantasize about getting the fuck out of this country at least twice a day. I sit there and I really game this shit out. Okay, how much money would I need? Where would I go? What kind of job am I getting? What kind of life could I have overseas? I really, really, really think about this shit at least twice a day. The only thing, and I do mean the only thing keeping me here is my wife. That's it. Because I know her whole family is here. She would never really live overseas, and she would never give up her job as being a teacher here in DC. She love them damn kids too much. But if not for her, man, I promise you I'd be gone because I'm tired of this bullshit here, man.
So I just seen a report, guys, that said about only 25% of people, non-homeowners, believe that they will be able to buy a home in the next 5 years. And if you really stop and think about how insane that actually is for a second, that means most people who do not own homes right now, they believe that they will never have a shot at owning a home, realistically. And honestly, I think we don't talk about it enough about how depressing that is for the working class Americans. Because this is not just people being lazy or bad with money like older generations love to say. The reality is that housing prices exploded, interest rates went up, rent became extremely expensive, groceries are expensive, insurance is expensive, healthcare is expensive, childcare is expensive, and wages have not kept up with the cost of living the way people pretend it has. A lot of people are just barely staying afloat month to month, let alone saving tens of thousands of dollars for a down payment. And yes, before somebody says it, I understand our parents struggled too. Life was not magically easier for everybody back then. But we should also stop pretending that the math is remotely even the same. A lot of older Americans were buying homes when average prices were, compared to income, were dramatically lower than they are now. College was cheaper, rent was cheaper, healthcare was cheaper, and one decent full-time income could literally support an entire household in ways that feel almost impossible for the younger generation today. And honestly, according to experts, this has started to create a psychological shift in America that people are underestimating. Because generations before us they were raised believing that if you worked hard enough, you could eventually build stability. Buy a house, build a family, have a retirement someday. But now we have millions of younger people working all the time, feeling like they're permanently stuck in survival mode, no matter how hard they push themselves. And that's a problem. And that's why a lot of the working class people are angry right now. Not because we all expect, luxury like yachts or mansions and the nicest cars. No, we just want to be able to pay our bills in full and then maybe have some extra to go to Dave and Buster's with our kids without worrying about where that extra money's coming from. We just want a realistic shot at stability without feeling like every year we're falling further and further behind while also being told that the economy is supposedly doing amazing. Because when us regular people stop believing that we can ever realistically build a stable future, that changes a country in ways that politicians should absolutely not ignore. And before somebody comes in saying, well, I made it work, so everybody else should too, I say good for you, genuinely. But I want you to understand not everybody starts from the same place mentally, emotionally, financially, or even neurologically. Some people are dealing with anxiety, ADHD, depression, trauma, burnout, disabilities, kids, or jobs that completely drain them every day. Life is not an equal playing field, and I think a little more empathy for struggling working class people would go a very, very long way right now.
But the fact remains that we live in a nation right now that only works for one portion of the country, and it's the minority, the billionaire class. The American dream has been transferred to them. All of the wealth in this nation has been transferred to the upper 1%, to the controlling class, and Americans are tired of it. I mean, what kind of life is it when you have to work, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week to be able to make ends meet? You never get to enjoy a day off. You never get to enjoy time with your spouse. You never get to enjoy, time with your children. It's absolutely sickening to think that that's where we are at as a nation. We are supposed to be the richest country on earth, but we're not. We're really just one large country with a handful of people who own all of the wealth.
The American dream. But whose dream is it? I'm coming on today just sharing a heart-to-heart today. I felt led to come on and discuss this that's been on my heart for the last couple of days. We've been sold this idea of the American dream. When does this begin? Well, why this has been on my heart, let me say this first, is I've been thinking about what we call the empty nest syndrome a lot. I personally have not experienced that yet. We have 4 children, 3 young adults, and the youngest is turning 15 this month. So I haven't, and they're all at home, so I haven't experienced it yet. But I have friends and family that have. And it's heartbreaking seeing what the parents go through. I can relate so much being a mother to the mothers, and that bond is just with a child. It doesn't change. It doesn't get weaker or go away just because a child reaches a certain age or moves away. And I started questioning, why is this normal? Something so God-given, that bond, that child is a gift. And then we're just supposed to accept, for many people, that they see that child and then their grandchildren, if they move away, which is a lot of it happens to a lot, 2, 3, 4 times a year. How heartbreaking. And those grandchildren are robbed of that intimacy and relationship of the grandparents. And I thought, what a shame. And then that took me to, we've been hoodwinked on so many levels. It wasn't that many generations ago that here in the West, in the United States, multifamily generations live together in the same house. And I'm not saying we have to go back to that, but I'm saying look where we've come from, and has it helped? Where the family unit is so fragmented.